What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over a 19 Theater of Pain that I did this week on Tyrannical. Going to go through the gear real quick. For a legendary, I'm using the King Soul Satchel. Has a lot of value in Mythic Plus, just overall like the best one, I believe. I'm using Ruby and the Necromantic Tomb as trinkets, and then my Domination sockets just because I have them. Talents, I'm using my full AoE setup with Writhe and Agony, Sow The Seeds Haunt. And Soul Binds, I have Withering Bolt for a single target, Roll and Agony for trash packs, and Soul Eater is a mix of both. And the reason why I use Roll and Agony over Focus Malignancy is because I find it has more value on trash packs than you would getting a little bit extra damage from Rapture on single target. Because unlike 9.0, Rapture isn't our main damage when it comes to single target anymore. If you kind of look at the boss that we did here, top damage, Agony, UA, Necrotic Wound, Drain Soul, and then Rapture was 5th, right? So it is a significant amount of our damage, but it is not the top like 40% of it anymore like it used to be. So that's kind of why I'm using Roll and Agony even on a Tyrannical week. So kind of get through it here. This first pull, no matter if it's Fortified or Tyrannical, I always use my cooldowns here. And the reasoning for that is because a lot of the time people will hold their cooldowns for the boss, and this pack will take a very long time to kill. So it's better to just pop your cooldowns, kill the pack as quickly as you can, and you'll have them up for midway through the boss or so. It does suck you don't have it during Lust, but you really don't need it. And in this fight, it's pretty much a stacked cleave. So Sow The Seeds gains a lot of value here. Whenever the one dude teleports out, you always want to kick him immediately so you can get him back into range just for AoE. So he's casting Plague Bolt back there. My kick isn't up yet. Now it is, so then I kick him back in. Normally you should have a Soothe for this dungeon. It makes things a lot easier for this boss. But we did not have one. And the reasoning for that is the Decia guy, he charges at you and will like fixate on someone. And that's what killed our mage here. But if you have a Soothe, you can kind of get rid of it right away.
Beware.
So, res him, trying to get everything back up again. As you can see here, my cooldowns came back up. And this is where like you do the most damage. Everything's stacked, so you get full value out of your legendary, the King Soul Satchel. I have full shards, ruby, and everything, so I'm able to just refresh all my dots, and I'm just spamming seed because they're all clumped together. So, again, like kick is down, so ideally you'd be able to kick the Plague Bolts every single time that the guy teleports out. But based on your comp, might not be able to do that. So here we have 2 melee and a Holy Paladin, so the only kicks really are going to be me or the mage. And he teleports out more often than 24 seconds, so just clean up this boss here. Kind of use everything. Doesn't really matter, just killing it as quickly as possible. Time-wise, you generally want to kill this boss in under 4 minutes in the trash. If you do any like longer than that, your chance of the time of the key kind of go down a bit. So killing the first boss and the first trash pack as fast as possible is really what you're going for, and it's a lot easier when everything is stacked up for a longer period of time. So we're on Sagadon. I always put my port up just so I can port away. I always pop my cooldowns if they are up on these mini bosses just to speed it up. For the same reasoning as the first trash pack is a lot of the time people will not use cooldowns on these, and when you're full pugging, like what I do most of my keys, you want to time the key. So it's better to just get your cooldowns out of the way, and if your group wants to save them for other trash packs, let them. But yeah, just pop mine there, get it out of the way. So here we pull these 4 together. I'm targeting down the big one with my haunt and my UA, but I'm also just spamming seeds since they're all stacked up. Just finishing this pack off.
One of the more ruthless Marsworn draws close.
And then I'll have my cooldowns up for, you know, the Executioner here. Should be pulling this in a second. Alright, so we pull these together. I swap everything to the Executioner. Pop my cooldowns here. And just trying to kill the mini bosses as quick as we can, right? So we can get onto the bigger AoE packs. And especially in a place like Theater of Pain where there's a lot of single target, you just want to use your Dark Lord Dark Soul as often as you can. Even if it's on just a mini boss or one of the big single target mobs. So, as always in Theater of Pain, I'm picking Necrotic Dagger. Does a significant amount of our damage on single target, and it's like really helpful for Tyrannical. So we're doing a pretty big pull here. Get my Agonies out. I stun as soon as everything's grouped. Soul Rot, and then I'm spamming Seed. I'm popping my defensives also because I know there's a lot of damage and AoE happening here. So just to make sure I survive, I just pop my Dark Pact and Unending Resolve there. So I can sit in all the green AoE and just keep seeding. So cooldown just came back up, so I'll use it on this 3-pack. Burn these down pretty quick. And then we're going to pull the mini-boss. And so, a lot of people pull the mini-boss here. It's kind of weird because none of this is light of sight besides that pillar that I'm standing at right now. So, he does do a cast that normally gets off unless your tank kicks it. So it's kind of awkward. So I see it, and I kick it immediately so it doesn't kill us. It's by accident. I'm trying to bait the fighters back here. Got my Soul Rot just to get some more damage out. And my cooldowns will be up for the next big trash pack, so. Res our mage here.
Well fought. Now claim its power as your own.
So here it doesn't matter too much what you pick. Usually just go Champions Brand almost 100% of the time. This was an accidental pull, I believe. Our warriors kind of like leaped into it. I don't really know. This wasn't supposed to be pulled, but we pulled it. So I was considering using my cooldowns here, but I feel like I could just get more value in the second pack that's coming up. And if I use it on the first pack here, it'll also be up for when the boss happens. So Gorchup's really annoying to deal with, so you definitely want to have your cooldowns up for him. So I pop my cooldowns here. Just delete this pack really fast. And then we're gonna have the big guy with all the little ones. So same thing, Shadow Fearing every time they're grouped up to stop them from jumping. For these little mobs you want to be kind of tightly stacked, so that way they don't jump everywhere and cast. And it's a lot easier to kill them when they're stacked on top of each other. But as you can see, like Sow the Seeds is bringing me a ton of value here already. Just even on a single target dungeon that is Theater of Pain where there isn't a lot of big AoE pulls, it's still bringing me a ton of value. So So yeah, my cooldown's coming up here. I have 5 shards. So here I'm just going to, wait for my cooldowns to come up, obviously, before I pop everything. But I'm trying to get value out of my legendary, so I'm trying to hit both of these little adds with my soul rod, which I do. So I get full value out of the king soul satchel there. And then I'm able to spend all my shards. And that's kind of like what you want to do on any boss that has adds that are close. If you have your soul rod up, you want to save it for when you can get multiple stacks of the king soul satchel. Just kind of going through it here. I'm draining for extra shards every time the adds get low. I'm also agonying them when they're jumping around. You can also seed, but sometimes they jump around, so it's a lot harder to hit them with seed. If you time it correctly, it's definitely worth it, but they hop around so much that sometimes you can't always hit them. Just keep draining them for extra shards. My cooldowns are coming up here. And I guess depends on how low the boss is. Will determine if you want to use your cooldowns or not. But since the boss was like 7% when they came up, better just save them for the next pack. So for the next pack, it's all the ghosts together. I usually like to set up a gateway for my tank so they don't get chained when they're trying to pull them all and bring them back. So I let my tank go in first, get aggro, put a gateway, and then I come back to LOS. Here I'm obviously popping my cooldowns. I pop everything here and I'm just spamming seed and just delete the pack. I slow DPS a little bit to let the bursting stacks fall off. But normally if you don't have bursting, you don't have to worry about that. I'm just killing these little guys together, pull the mini boss. This mini boss, every time you get the big AoE that I have, you want to have your dark backed up or your unending resolve since it's so hard. So every time I get the circle, I'm just dark popping in defensive, either dark backed or unending resolve, because it does do a lot of damage. No, I believe they nerfed it, but it still hits pretty hard.
The creature is slain. Now, claim its power as your own.
So here, I probably should have just used my cooldowns here. I used Soul Rot, but I didn't pop my 2 minutes. On Fortified Weeks, I usually pop it here, because this guy is very dangerous on Fortified Weeks. But we usually just, since it's Tyrannical, you only kill him. He only gets 1 Soul Storm off, usually, before you kill him. But on Fortified Weeks, it's, you might get 2 or 3 off, which is really hard to deal with. So I save my cooldowns for this pack, because I figure this would be a harder pack to deal with. So, yep, pop my cooldowns here. Just spam seeding, they're all stacked together. Popping a lot of my personals here and defenses, because this pack hits really hard. They apply like a dot, and it hits really hard if you don't get dispelled. You could definitely use your imp there, but I also want to have kicks for the necrotic volley. But if you want to help out your healers, imp is definitely viable in that spot. And as you're going to see, as we're coming up, I'm going to be using imp on the next boss to get all the other dispels. It makes the fight a lot easier for your healer. Approaching the boss soon. My cooldowns will be up just in time before the boss.
Beware.
This platform got a little bit scary. I got hit by a bone spear and I got the dot, so dropped pretty low there. So this is the boss that I bring my imp out on. I usually tell the healer that I will always get the second dispel, so I just wait to see whoever the healer dispels, and then I dispel the next person. I also save my cooldowns until I see if I get the buff here. So I'm waiting. I do get the buff. So I'm just holding on my cooldowns. And now I'm popping them. Because the buff gives you extra damage, so it makes more sense to, you know, save your cooldowns for that. And I'm also always standing near one of the grab points. So that way you don't have to move across the entire room. So as you can see when they come out, I'm going to move over to them. And this spells. We're just pumping this boss pretty hard. And getting like pretty much permanent buff uptime there. So I'm just waiting for my Soul Rot to come up before I pop all my shards. Since I did not get another buff from the Jostle, I just kind of used it there. So I did get the buff on this one, but the boss will die before my second set of cooldowns come up, so I'm just popping all my shards here. This is awkward. We left one of the soul guys here, so kind of dragging him along with us. So we're going on to the Zav area, where it's mostly single target mini boss guys. I like to pop my cooldowns on this one. That way I'll be able to use it on the other mini boss when it pops up too, for the third pack coming up. I guess you could also save it depending on what your group pulls and who uses cooldowns where. You probably get more value using your cooldowns on this big AoE pack.
Beware.
But no one was popping cooldowns on the mini boss, so I wanted to.
Beware.
The warrior got shot to death there. You can see the value I'm getting from Roll and Agony already. I can see there I had to refresh all of my agonies since the pack was still alive. It was probably due to like the warrior dying very early on, but I'm still getting good value on it. So, just gonna finish off this mini boss. I think I got clipped here. Yeah, I did. I got hit by a volcanic, but the animation of the whirlwind was like under the staircase. It was like hard to see. So my I actually didn't pop my cooldowns there because it wasn't up for it until like the very end. So I'm just gonna use it on the boss, obviously. I'm waiting to see where the flag spawns, and then I pop my Decaying Soul Satchel for the extra value of the double stack on it, rather than just popping your cooldowns right at the start. Just trying to hit, you know, that extra target with my Soul Rot. So it's actually really hard as Lock to win these. I don't use any shards here, I usually just drain. If I out damage them, then cool. But most of the time I don't win the duel in the arena because you just don't damage without spending your soul shards, and it's usually not worth using your shards just for that. So same deal, getting a soul rot value on to the banner, draining it for an extra shard. I don't know what happens here after, but we have 2 deaths, and and I use both the reses on it. So same deal here. I'm just draining, and then I just get one shot randomly. I was like, all right. But yeah. So we had our healer and our mage die here, so I'm just resing both of them. I'm waiting to see if I get pulled in here, I think. Nope, I'm just popping my cooldowns. So yeah, here, I'm popping my cooldowns as soon as the banner spawns, because I don't know if I'm going to get sucked in or not. If you do get sucked into the arena, then I'm pretty much just stuck holding my cooldowns. And the time I come back, the boss is probably dead. So here I just use it on the banner and get all my damage out as soon as I can. Just in case we get another round where I get sucked in downstairs, kind of like this. So if I didn't use my cooldowns there, then the boss probably would have been at like 10, 15-ish%, and I would have just been sitting on it. And then it wouldn't be on cooldown for now, and it's just like really awkward. So you want to just kind of get your Dark Soul and Dark Glare on cooldown as fast as possible on that boss. So here we have about 3 minutes left. No battle reses. My cooldowns aren't up, but that's okay, because most of the time you aren't going to lust till 50-ish%, maybe a little bit lower, depending on what your group wants. So I'm just having really high drain up time here, you know, avoiding the stuff, and using a shard whenever I'm overcapped. So I port away here. Always want to have your Fel Guard out to kick your ad as soon as it spawns.
My magic reaches beyond your mortal ken.
Pop my cooldowns when they came up. I didn't want to wait for Lust because we were pretty close on the timer, so. You could definitely save your cooldowns with Lust. But since we were close on time, I figured if I pop them, I will have them up, you know, if it gets down to that wire where we're like 10 seconds or so before we kill it. But wasn't really needed here. I'm just building my shards up. Soul Rot, pop 5 shards. Avoiding all the stuff. The boss pretty much dead here. Just have to avoid the rest of the stuff because there's a lot of weird overlaps. And if the boss did survive any longer, you could see my Dark Glare was up in 8 seconds, so maybe if it was a higher key or something, or we did less damage, then, you know, would have got a second set of cooldowns. But you can see we did 8.3k overall, which is fairly decent for Theater Arcane. And I'll kind of like talk through the breakdown really quick. So, the overall here, obviously Seed is just pumping, so you're getting a lot of Seed value. Agony is just crushing it too, so Writhe and Agony is really like hard carrying you in dungeons, honestly. So we got UA, Corruption. Soul Rot's doing a lot of our damage. It actually does more damage than Rapture, because you're hitting multiple targets. And even when you look at the boss damage, right? Like, we are absolutely pumping the bosses. So we have Kultharok here. Did about 8k, you know, Necrotic Wounds blasting. We have super high uptime on Drain since there's low mobility, or a lot less movement on that fight. Had a 45% uptime. Just focusing on your Soul Rot windows and maximizing your Drain uptime. Zav is a little bit different because you're getting pulled in constantly and there's a lot of movement. So you just want to burst and then move, basically. Drain uptime was like pretty low here, 20%. Gore Chop, getting a lot of value out of Soul Rot since you can hit the ads with it and get bonus shards and stuff from draining them. And then here on the last boss, you know, trying to get as much drain uptime as you can at the start. And then obviously towards the end, there's a lot more movement. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful. I know I got a few comments saying, you know, to go over Theater Pain as this Sow the Seeds build. So hopefully this is helpful. Thanks for watching. Peace.